Alright, we're back. And welcome back to Valiant Hearts the Great War with your one and only Sweet Fish Plays here. So I'm extremely excited to jump back in here for sort of our second part. Unlike some of my other series, I haven't really broken it down, each of my streams down into parts, like by chapters or anything. I'm just kind of playing bits and chunks here and there. So it's not like episode 1, like part 1 of this series is going to be covering exactly chapter 1 of the game. I'm just going to sort of play it in chunks and stop wherever I kind of feel fit. But so far I found both the art style and the art direction and the story to be really captivating and really enriching. It really grabs you and brings you in. Obviously the gameplay is, I guess for some, maybe a little bit underwhelming, but I like these kinds of video games. I'm okay with video games that are extremely simple, point-and-click video games. I've always been a fan, the Telltale series, for example, so I'm used to kind of this, the simplicity. So I just want to do a quick rundown of sort of where we're at. Starts in 1914, bunch of countries: Germany, France, Britain, Austro-Hungary, all basically pointing fingers at each other, starting a war after the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand. A lot of countries ended up getting pulled in through pre-established alliances. Russia declares war on Austria-Hungary, Germany declares war on Russia, etc., etc. France ultimately gets involved, and this is where we sort of meet our first character, Karl. Karl is a farmer living in France on a farm with his wife Marie and his newborn son Victor, and then with Marie's father as well, Emil. Karl is a German citizen living in France. He gets deported as France begins deporting German citizens, separating him from his wife and Victor, and then he also ends up basically being drafted into the German army and fighting for the Germans. Still not worst case scenario. A couple days later, Emil, Marie's father, also gets drafted into the French army, the opposing side, and is torn away from his daughter and his grandson and forced to fight. So everybody basically gets screwed here. Nobody ends up in a good spot. Marie is left all on her own. Emil pleads with her through letters to lean on the neighbors for support. Meanwhile, Karl, for the most part, didn't really know that Emil had even been drafted. That is until they come across each other a little bit later. But basically, we started off controlling Emil, the father. He's kind of old, but he does his best. We did some training with him, and then we get thrown into the Battle of the Frontiers. Our entire unit gets wiped out, and we get wounded in the process and taken prisoner under Baron von Dorf, who was in charge, I think, of the 71st Regiment of Germany. So this regiment captures us. This is where Karl and Emil meet each other again in the war. And for the most part, Karl was trying to help us. He was trying to come to our aid at the camp. We were, like I said, basically prisoners, not treated very well. Basically, like little errand boys running around the camps for the German officers. But eventually the camp gets raided. So we never really get to see any more of Karl. Karl runs off and flees. He's a German. He's getting the hell out of Dodge. And then we were kind of just left off with Emil and the dog just in the middle of the camp, shackled up at the ankles, trying to escape the barrage of fire as well, coming from the liberators, if you will. So that's kind of where we left with the Emil and Karl story. And then, of course, we met Freddy as well, but we haven't really been able to see how Freddy's story is going to intertwine with Emil and perhaps Karl. We were told that Emil and Freddy along the way end up becoming, sort of best buds. That's sort of the implication given anyways, but we haven't really seen that crossover yet. We helped Freddy a little bit at the train station. He was being bugged by some French dudes. He is an American volunteer in the French Corps, so the French guys were bugging him at the train station. We got them off his back. That was the first time we met him. Haven't really done anything with him since. We did one mission with him. He actually went and also was attacking Baron von Dorf, and was quite successful, actually. So he had a personal vendetta, we know, against von Dorf. It was sort of implied again that his wife was killed by the bombing, so he sort of has a personal vendetta in this war as well, kind of the reason for him volunteering. But that's pretty much where we are right now, and let's see what else we got going on.
Thanks to support from British forces, the German plan failed. The front line moved back to the north, and with the arrival of winter, froze. Soldiers holed up amid a vast labyrinth of trenches and tunnels that would become the indelible image of the Great War. Karl's regiment retreated to the outskirts of Neuve-Chapelle, the same camp where Emil was being held prisoner.
So we left off sort of at a cliffhanger with Emil. There was a truck about to sort of fall on top of him and the dog as he was trying to make his escape from the camp. And then it sort of cut here to Freddy, and he is sort of involved. We learned that some of the British colonies were sort of brought into the war for support as well. So India, for example. So Freddy is currently fighting with some of these men. Alright, so again, it's important to pay attention to the speech bubbles because that sort of gives you direction as well on sort of where to go. We saw that with us needing to clip the barbed wire fences just before. The guy was showed a little picture of the barbed wire fences above his head. This guy is motioning to me about some TNT, so that's what we're on the lookout for here. This is some of the more intense action that we've seen so far for sure. We have our another collectible. We've already found 3 so far in this particular chapter. We found French coins now. All troops were paid in their country of origin's currency and paid compensation in the local currency. Wow, interesting. The British earned 1 shilling a day, around 3.21 Great Britain pounds, I guess, or $5.42 US dollars in nowadays currency. The standard King's shilling and 20 francs every fortnight. These 20 francs had a face value of 40 pounds, roughly 50 euros, 70 US dollars, and were used as the main currency with the locals eager to barter whatever few goods they could trade. Business always prevailed, so locals near the combat zone would agree on payment in foreign currencies as well. It's interesting. It's almost like a whole economy was built around the war. I guess we've kind of seen the same thing with COVID and having to sort of restructure our economy and how we do things in our society around sort of a major event. Alright, his blurb is 2 fingers, 3 fingers, 2 fingers. So again, that's gonna come in handy for us here at some point. I'm thinking we have to throw dynamite to him and then eventually explode said dynamite, but in second, third, second, and there's 3 positions for him on this little monorail, I guess. So I guess we throw one to him there, throw one to him there, throw one to him there. I guess it's worth a go. That blacked out the 3 there in the middle. Okay. That's strange. Oh, if you look at the dynamite, some of the dynamite has 2 sticks, some of the dynamite has 3 sticks, and then this pile over here has just 1 stick. And you can see on the side of the box how much the bundle is made up of. You can see 1 stick, 2 sticks, 3 sticks. So we already gave him one with 3 sticks. We need 1 for 2 sticks over there, so it goes 2, 3, 2 across the top. That's what it is. Man. So we need one with 2 sticks. Toss that up to him. Here you are, bruh. Bring it. Alright, that should be actually the last item, collectible item for this chapter. We've already read all the facts for this chapter, but we only missed 1 this time, so again, we've been pretty good with finding these. The kukuri knife. The kukuri knife was used by the Gurkhas, the British unit comprised of colonial Indian troops. This Nepalese weapon was standard issue and became a symbol of the Empire forces. Its heavy, thick, and curved blade was designed for striking as well as cutting. Love it. So we've got some big shells there. Let's keep heading up. Oh my god, poor thing. Wow, now that is good timing. Holy moly. Now we gotta cut him out of his shackles as well.
Merci, mon ami. Du reckon? Calories for nothing. Yeah, come this.
Amidst the never-ending attacks and counterattacks, Freddy and Emile hunted the elusive Baron and his regiment in Ypres.
There's definitely a revenge story here with Baron von Dorf and his regiment and Freddy. There's definitely the revenge factor there, but also Emile is interested in tracking down this German regiment as well, because he's still trying to come across Karl. Despite the fact that there's a large-scale war happening around them, we can still see how these interpersonal relationships just negate the fact that there's a war going on. Emile is willing, completely unarmed, to walk across the battlefield just to find his son-in-law. And I mean, that's a pretty incredible thing. It's not even like a blood son. That's a pretty cool thing there. But good timing on Freddy's part. After bombing that tunnel out and getting to the top of that German turret, I was able to fire around to hit the truck before it rolled down on Emile. And now we finally see these two sort of reunite. I helped him, albeit in a very small way, back at the train station, and he in turn returned the favor by essentially saving Emile's life. So pretty cool.
On April 22nd, 1915, chlorine gas was used for the first time by the Germans.
Alright, note to self, chlorine gas equals deadly. I guess I should probably know that.
On April 22nd, 1915, chlorine gas was used for the first time by the Germans.
So we know the Germans were having some early success in this war, wiping out the French, and the British were off to a sluggish start, but it looks like, you know, as they were starting to get some pushback, they decided to revert to less than humane needs. Not that, I mean, any war is humane, no war is humane, but I mean, chlorine gas is a pretty low blow chemical warfare, of course. It's a pretty sick strategy to employ. The horror was already all around them, and then they just magnified that horror big time. So we have some new historical facts, obviously going into a new chapter. We have to try and find a way ultimately to turn that chlorine gas off. Let's read some of these facts. So the Battle of Ypres. Oh my god. I'm not even going to say the name, I'm just gonna say blank. Blank was a key strategic town in Belgium, especially for the British. It was the gateway to the north and thus to Britain. Canadian troops were deployed in the front line, and they proved their endurance and dependability in combat to the Allies. 6,000 Canadian lives were lost in the battle in April 1915. I like seeing that again as a Canadian. First gas attack, April 22nd, 1915. At Ypres came the first gas attack in history. 5,730 cylinders of chlorine gas were opened by the Germans in favorable winds. Chlorine gas caused burns to the eyes, skin, and lungs, even through clothes and rubber boots. The effects were devastating. The only defense found by the Canadians was to cover their noses with a urine-soaked handkerchief. Man, I feel like this is like grade 10 history class all over again, and I love it. Zeppelin bombardment. Zeppelins were invented in 1900 by the German Count von Zeppelin. Does every German have von in their name? But the first long-distance flight didn't take place until 1908. Zeppelins weren't much slower than the aircraft of the period and were used in reconnaissance. I guess sort of think of like what a modern UAV might do sort of in modern warfare. They could also fly at higher altitudes, so from 1915 they were used to bomb civilians in London and Paris. Lovely. And then the dogs of the war. It is estimated that by 1918, the Germans had employed 30,000 dogs, while the Allies employed 20,000. Dogs were recruited from dog pounds and the police force, while many families also enlisted their pets. Wow, I could not even fathom enlisting my pet into the army. Dogs had a number of roles as sentries and scouts in postal liaison and equipment transport, in locating casualties and explosives, and as mascots. The main breeds deployed were German Shepherds, Doberman Pinschers, and Bouviers. Cool, and this sort of plays in with our one of our newest friends, of course, not only Freddy, but the dog. I don't know, do we have a name for this dog yet? Let's just call him Dog, that'll keep it nice and simple. But he's actually part of the German force, because he was with the Germans at the German camp, and then he sort of tagged along with us as we were trying to make our escape. So we gotta find a way to turn this gas off, because again, we can't get any further. I wonder if the dog can crawl under the gas and turn that switch off. I'll have to give that a try.
Let's see. Go, go, go!
So, new chapter, 6 new items to collect. Come on, dog. Holy moly. And we've got some new diaries here as well. From Freddy. March 10th, 1915. On the march to Belgium, where this damned regiment is stationed. I'm not alone, at least. I met a funny old French farmer guy, Emile. Doesn't say much, but if I understood right, his son-in-law is German. How crazy is that? Not a day goes by that I don't dream of you. We obviously saw Emile giving Freddy sort of the lowdown when they met up, when he helped free the dog from the barbed wire. So Freddy knows the deal with Emile now. Carl, March 10th, 1915. At last I found Emile, just moments before the shells started flying. I hope he's managed to dodge the bombs. The letter he showed me filled my heart with joy. Marie is well and Victor is growing up. That's all that matters. Oh, and there was actually one before that too. Emile, there, right in front of me, sprawling on the ground. Why did his regiment have to come up against mine? I hope he pulls through. He's one tough cookie. I must find out what POW camp he's been taking to, and then he did. Freddy had another one as well. I missed them by a whisker. It won't happen again. My younger brother's letter was sweet. It gave me a real boost. It's good he's back in the States, miles away from this nightmare. That kid has a knack of getting himself into trouble. Last time I couldn't identify who this person in the middle here was. It might be Freddy's wife. Her last diary entry was August 1st, 1914. She died after bombings in Paris, and I think in this thing she's writing about the troop mobilization, the bells ringing in Paris, so maybe she died. It's my best guess is it's either that, because I mean that's who Freddy is trying to avenge here. Von Dorf was apparently responsible for the bombings, but it could also be just sort of a representation of the general public too, I don't know. And then the new diary entry for her as well. Today the Germans invaded Saint-Miel. Fortunately the troops spared the farm. I took shelter in the cellar with Victor. Now what's going to happen? And again, all by herself. So it's got to be pretty scary for a young lady like her.
Hey, what? What?
Canadian identification tag. Ooh, at the start of the war, Canadian identification tags were formed by a large aluminum disc, which was because they were an emergency issue and had a unique shape. They were soon replaced by standard British tags, as were those of all British Empire forces. 1 out of 6 down. So I think we just have to try and retrieve this box down here using the system of pulleys and levers. I just gotta figure out how the heck I get back up. Oh, do I also have to be standing on that thing? Oh, now I lower it back down. No, how can I stand on top? I can't stand on top while it's moving. Okay, he won't fall down there. Is there a way to get back up this way? No. That's as high as it goes, eh?
What?
Oh, I guess we can get the dog down with us now. Oh, we can get the dog to pull us up? I don't know if I mentioned this in the last stream. My only gripe so far with this game is sort of the vagueness around objectives and not always necessarily knowing, okay, here's the goal. Like, I can't just pause it and go, okay, you know, what's my main objective right now? I think there should have been a little bit more clarity. I know it's a 2D game. There's only really 2 different ways to go, and a lot of it is just kind of common sense and putting 2 to 2 together, but sometimes direction is good. The hint system, though, is pretty neat, although I like solving things myself. Just kind of knowing the objective and figuring it out. But in this case, it's like, okay, we're given a box that we have to pull up, but I'm not exactly sure why.
Hey, what? Ready? What? What? Ready?
Okay, so the hint is showing us bringing the dog down. So let's start there, I guess. We actually have the dog down already, so... Oh, can I get myself lower down? Maybe it's not up, we have to go. It is down. We can see that there's more chlorine gas pouring out of the pipes up ahead. So yeah, I guess we have to go down and around it. Okay, so maybe I won't need that hint after all.
Vas-y. Va. Allez. Allez. One.
Urine-soaked cloth reminds you of something? Not urine-soaked cloth, but the picture kind of looks like the masks that we use for COVID today. I'm not trying to compare the horrors they went through in World War I to COVID-19. Obviously, it's a completely different scale. I understand that. But I mean, just trying to make it relatable anyways. Urine-soaked cloth, the only defense against a gas attack before masks were introduced, was to cover the nose with a urine-soaked handkerchief. So they did eventually employ like actual masks, and they didn't rely on urine-soaked handkerchiefs the whole time. Urine reacts with chlorine directly in the handkerchief to form less noxious products, limiting the effects. It was not the most hygienic solution, but it was always better than a lungful of hydrochloric acid. Agreed.
What?
Somehow we have to get these pipes to stop emitting the super noxious hydrochloric acid, the chlorine gas. There's a few different levers I have. These wheels here turn those pieces at the top that are rotating, and that's gonna change the flow of the hydrochloric acid. So, and somehow I gotta fix this pipe up here. You can see where it's hanging off. Oh, I can't, so I've gotta do that. Oh. Now it's not blowing outside anymore. You can see it's kind of like on an inner circuit. Cool. I'll just mess with it a little. We'll see what we can do.
Vas-y. What? Ah, yeah. Come on, man. Come here. Come here. Let's go. Allez, oui. Emil, hurry up!
Alright, so we took shelter underground. Freddy continued above ground, but there's a chlorine gas rather, right behind us, creeping in here, so we gotta try and figure out this puzzle and stats. There's nothing really over here. Oh, there's a place to dig. Oh, another treasure. Sweet. I love the interactivity with your dog and being able to command him with different actions like come. And you can like obviously pat him and get him to interact with different objects from a distance as well. I've got to find a way to get up there. Oh, I've got to get the dog to go in there, I think. Yeah, there we go. Get him up there. I'm coming, Freddy, I'm coming.
Help me, Emil! Hurry up! Hey, wait. What? Hey. What? Help me, Emil! Thank you, my friend. You in? Don't worry.
Okay, so we found basically the remaining items in the level as well, -1 here. So we have the gas canister deployment strategy. Gas canister deployment strategies were simple, but they did depend on the weather, especially on winds. For obvious reasons, gas use required a constant downwind towards enemy lines to avoid the gas returning to its sender. Any battle plans were therefore dependent on the weather forecast. Pretty cool. Belgian shako. The Belgian army's distinctive shako resembled a top hat with a rim replaced by a visor. The shako was replaced by the easer cap, a soft cap with flaps that could be pulled down over the ears for warmth. The cap was called the Easer because Belgian soldiers massed behind the river Easer to hold off the German advance. Some of the headwear of World War I is quite interesting. I've always found it quite intriguing. Some of the different helmet styles, and now World War II, you got that sort of typical bucket helmet that you think of, but World War I was, again, much different. Pocket watch was the last thing here. Time was an important factor in soldiers' lives, and military strategies for attacks and rolling barrages were based on tight chronological synchronicity. Pocket watches were the only way to tell the time. They didn't have the Samsung S20 or iPhone, what are they at now, 30, to tell them the time.
Come here! Out of here! Out of here!
Her name was Anna, a Belgian student living in Paris. She was hard on the trail of her missing father. For once, fate smiled on them. They were all going in the same direction. But while approaching Vimy, a German squadron spotted them.
Oh man, I was so convinced I had that. We gotta start over. But I got the hang of it now. Jesus. I like this. It's cool. So we can get hit a total of 3 times here by fire. Is everyone gonna get, like, almost fatally wounded in this game just to scare the crap out of us? Alright, so we have to find some sort of like a med pack here for Freddy, who was seriously hurt there. So we're trying to make our escape. We all happen to be going in the same direction. We finally met the last main character. So the diaries are all for main characters. This is that last mystery character that we couldn't figure out. It is indeed not Freddy's wife. I figured that would be pointless for her to only have like one diary entry because she died anyways. But this is Anna, and she happens to be going the same way as us, and she caught us at the perfect time out there on the battlefield. But on our way to Vimy, we're attacked there by a German squadron. Pretty straightforward stuff. I love that the barrage of shells and machine gun fire was in sync with that classical soundtrack playing in the background. Very, very cool mission. Again, thumbs up for the art style and the art direction here. So this is obviously a new chapter. Let's read some of the facts off the top. The trenches. Between the sides, there was an imbalance in trench conditions. After securing a head start in trench construction, the Germans reinforced them with iron and concrete while the Allies had to wallow in mud. The Allies' changeover policy maybe contributed to this. Allied soldiers had 7-day shifts on the front, whereas German soldiers were allocated a specific zone for an indeterminate period, giving them a chance to settle in. The labyrinth. Vimy and Neuville-Saint-Vaast were 2 positions the Germans were quick to fortify. Here they built the labyrinth, a complex network of trenches and tunnels connected to underground sleeping quarters. Allied armies unsuccessfully attempted to seize this key position on numerous occasions. Due to the huge number of casualties in late 15, the position was declared impregnable. Wow. Memorial to the Moroccan Division. The Moroccan Division, whose motto was "No fear, no mercy," combined soldiers from across French colonial Africa and the Foreign Legion. The division included Moroccan Zouaves and Tunisian and Algerian infantrymen. I really hope I'm not butchering this. In 1915, this division seized Vimy Ridge. Wow. But in the absence of backup from Battalion HQ, they were forced to retreat after just 2 days. The Moroccan Division is the only division whose flags were decorated with the Legion of Honor. I remember some of that history from Battlefield. Battlefield over the last few years has delved into World War I a little bit, and in one of them, maybe it's 5, you actually play it, I believe, as a Moroccan soldier, so pretty cool stuff. And then naval cannons. Naval cannons were capable of firing heavy-duty 800-pound shells. Due to their weight, they were mounted on special rails for transport to firing platforms. In the event of a retreat, artillerymen were instructed to destroy the cannons rather than let them fall into enemy hands. And you can imagine how expensive that was, but they did not want the enemy to get their greasy, grimy hands all over it. We got 6 new items to find. We gotta save Freddy. So I'm protected as long as I'm behind cover here. I can see a German sitting in a machine gun nest just ahead of me here. So as soon as if I hop up on this ledge where the grenades are, he's probably gonna see me. So I gotta find a way to, I guess, distract him. Alright, you can't mess around too much there. My options are pretty limited. I wonder if he'll shoot the dog. Like, can I send the dog up to get a grenade? Yeah. Sacrifice that must be made. He won't hurt a dog. Come on. Takes some kind of an animal to do that. Yeah, I was gonna say that one machine gunner there on the right who I just passed by, he leaves his post every so often, so you gotta jump up when he does just that. Supposedly there's some sort of med supplies or a med bay this way, so. Oh dang, can't go that way. So they keep capturing me. I gotta find a way to hide. Ah. Alright, we gotta get past this barbed wire. I don't have cutters like I have in the past, so somehow this dog has got to get. I was able to get him up top, but he's got to find something. Oh, right there, yeah. There we go. There's some cutters there. Alright, I got the barbed wires. Dog is back. I got the barbed wire cutters. Now we can get past these here. We're like freaking Owen Wilson right now. We are behind enemy lines in very dangerous territory. Ain't no telling what's gonna happen. We need the supplies to help Freddy desperately. Freddy saved our lives. We gotta save his. So it looks like we missed one collectible, but we found the infantryman's flask. Soldiers frequently suffered from thirst, and water supplies were far from regular. All soldiers had canteens in which they transported water and also wine. Some also had flasks or goat skins, which were less heavy to carry. Fancy with the wine. We getting fancy tonight.
Allez. Hey. Ah, Luft, huh?
That's one way to go. That's one way I would never want to go. To die. By a wooden spoon. Getting beaten to death by a wooden spoon. Maybe I didn't beat him out. Maybe I just knocked him out. But still, it sounds painful. I was trying to share a moment with him there and then maybe put him out of his misery. I was able to do the former. But unfortunately, I gotta watch him in pain. So we got some TNT here. Looks like we gotta connect said TNT there. Again, we gotta make sure that we stay behind cover because most of these openings are covered by German machine guns, most of these open areas, so we gotta be super careful. Supposedly the med bay is this way though. So we somehow need one more piece of TNT. Oh, I can drag this guy out of the way, which exposes... Oh, another hole for the dog to go through.
What?
So there's one there and one up here now, and we need one more stick of... Oh no, there is only the one hole. Sorry. But on that other side there should be one more stick of dynamite, because I can't explain. One more is required to hook up here, it looks like. So... It's okay, doggy. We'll figure this out here. Why don't you go through? There you go. I like it now that, again, it makes the game, it opens the game up a little bit more three-dimensionally when we have the dog sort of playable in that layer, and then in the forward layer we have ourselves. Again, very clever. I like it.
What? Hey, what? What? What?
Okay, I caved and went for our first hint here in this in this section. It looks like we have 2. So I've gotten all of those parts there. I knew to take the one stick that was already there and hook that up and hook the box to actually ignite it. That's all hooked up. I sent the dog through the hole. That's what they're trying to point out there. I just, on the other side where the dog is, I can't seem to locate like any more TNT. Even when I go into like dog mode where it'll show me what he can interact with, it's only allowing me to interact with the hole that sent him there in the first place. So, oh, hang on. Ah, there we go. Okay, now we're talking. One of the collectibles is up there in that box. Or on top of that stack of boxes, rather. You can see it shining. I know, dog. I'm coming. Holy moly. Yeah, I find that kind of weird. Anyways, let's get back to the TNT. Oh no, the dog's got to come back to me first.
Vas-y. Oui, bon chien.
I love that even the dog who was raised to fight with the Germans, even he don't want to fight with them. Even he's like, I'm out of here. I'm helping these guys here. They the real winners. He knew all along. Smart dog. Ah, shoot. Okay, it starts me off after having connected the TNT. Oh man, sorry, I hopped up a little bit too soon there. So the machine gun that's firing is actually from that Zeppelin nest up there. Oh shit. Okay, we made it. It's actually coming from that Zeppelin up there. I wasn't sure exactly where it was coming from. It all makes sense now. I guess we explode this. So now we don't have to worry because the smoke caused by that explosion will give us the cover that we need. We're moving on though. And I still... Oh, I never got that one treasure. That's so weird. I bet you the dog probably could have got it. That's okay. Moving on. Okay, so I actually don't have to kill them. I'm swinging my damn death spoon away trying to kill him, and I can't even do it because I'm actually behind him in the picture. Alright, cool. I gotta get back up to my dog here. Alright, yeah, we know the one that we missed on top of the stack of boxes. I did catch it. I thought maybe if I had gone a little further, I might have picked something up that would allow me to get it. That's what I was assuming, but unfortunately I went too far and I can't go back. Not a big deal, at least I identified it. Letter from a German soldier, the 21st of April, 1915. Dear Andrea, we've been stuck down this hole since January, and it's April when he wrote this letter, and I can't stand it anymore. I'm sick to the back teeth with living like a rat. I really miss life as it was before, strolling beneath the linden trees with you. I even miss working in the factory. All my love, your Dieter. Alright, that's not what we're supposed to do. We gotta get the dog down. Alright, so he's up above us. We can get him down there in that basket there. I'll show you what I know so far. We can get him down in that basket, which requires the use of a lever, but there's no... like before, we picked up a bone, which in turn became the lever to pull. That happened before. We need something to pull that mechanism there so that the basket will lower. Oh shoot, almost got caught there. A wine bottle's not gonna work, but that's the only thing that I've really come across so far of any sort of value or anything I can really pick up. So once I get the dog down in said basket, he can go underneath this little blockade here. And there's a key there. Oh, son of a gun. Alright, cool. Yeah, weird. I may need another hint here again on this puzzle again. Yeah, it's showing me to get behind to where the wine bottles are to pick up, but I can't use them as the lever, obviously. I feel like I gotta get past this guy or something. That's the only sort of room behind him that I haven't been in yet. So, there we go. Okay. I did throw one at him. We actually have to try and get it over his head. That's where I was aiming, but it ended up hitting his head and nothing really happened. Okay, I had the right idea all along. Always go with your gut. It's the lesson of the day. Tin of sardines. Soldiers were all fed by their respective armies, but they also received parcels from back home to improve their daily lot. Tins of fish or pâté gave them a more copious nutritional meal than their daily army fare. Like, imagine living at that in a muddy, dirty trench, living off of that in a muddy, dirty trench filled with disease and rats and all kinds of awful, like, it's pretty hard to even imagine, you know? All right, we found the lever that was broken off of the mechanism to control this basket, so we can get the dog down now.
Hey, anyone? What? Ready?
I'll take those. Thank you very much. Oh, you know what? There's actually a treasure back there as well. I want you to get down, or a collectible rather. Can you go get that as well? Thank you. British coins. While the war raged on, life continued and the economy too. The war economy was composed of both barter and currency systems. Soldiers purchased provisions in towns using their pay. In 1914, the pay of a British private in a line regiment was 1 shilling a day, the standard King's shilling. We already kind of talked about that a little bit earlier in the stream. Obligatory deductions were made for a wife and children, 6 pence for the wife and 1 pence a day for each child. Wow, interesting. Nowadays, 1 shilling has the estimated purchasing power of about 3.21 Great Britain pounds or 5.42 US dollars. In 1971, the shilling was replaced by the 5 pence coin thanks to decimalization. Wicked. So that's the last sort of collectible on this level, so we know we're close to getting these medical supplies and getting back to Freddy. Again, we only missed 2. I'm pretty happy with that. I've died a little bit more often, I think, than I would have liked to, but it's mostly just my own fault for not being patient enough. You know, when they're firing at you, or when there's barrages of shells coming down or something, you just have to like dodge it. It's not super hard in theory, but sometimes you're so anxious just like running forward and you're not necessarily fully paying attention, or when I have to wait for the guy to clear the machine gun nest and I'm a little bit too impatient and I hop up on a ledge a little bit too quickly and he spots me. It's mostly been my own fault, but other than that, it's been pretty good so far. And the checkpoint system, again, makes it really easy when you do die.
What?
Damn, this has been one hell of a trek to get these medical supplies. Damn. Definitely repaid the favor of Freddy now. Oh, look at this. I have to cross over their little target practice game. Lucky me. Bunch of asses. Oh, wait until I take your damn Zeppelin down. Hold my beer. Oh, look at that. Wrong again. So that machine gun nest, it's not the Zeppelin after all. That was more the shells that were firing down earlier. It is actually this building in the distance here. Okay.
Skeeter bad.
Haha, take that, Von Dorf.
Baron von Dorf had escaped again, but Emil had still managed to find medicine for Freddy.
Thank you, my friend.
They were quickly back on the road again. Their journey would take them to Rans, where they would at last pick up the trail of the elusive Baron and his Zeppelin.
Alright, so we're back as Freddy going into this next chapter here. We're kind of switching back and forth between Emil and Freddy. That driving section was kind of cool because we get to control Anna, who of course is the newest character that got introduced here. That is going to be all today. Yeah, Anna, a Belgian veterinarian student who doubles as a battlefield nurse. She is tracking Von Dorf since he is forcing her father to develop advanced war machines. We all kind of have, we're all kind of going in a similar direction here. So it's interesting that, I mean, although our objectives and our ultimate goals are all a little different. Freddy trying to avenge his wife and go after Von Dorf. We're trying to find Carl, who is a part of Von Dorf's unit. And then you've got Anna, whose father has sort of been forced to work, I guess, for Von Dorf to develop these weapons of mass destruction, if you will. So the objective itself is not the same, but I mean, there's a commonality amongst all of us here, and we're putting all of our energy sort of together, which is kind of cool to see. And it's interesting how these people from different worlds basically see how their lives sort of intersperse with each other and how they directly impact one another. Now, without Freddy and our relationship with Freddy, we wouldn't be alive, and he wouldn't be alive now if it wasn't for us going to risk our lives to get those medical supplies. So pretty cool. I love the story so far. I love how things are going. We'll have some more historical facts, probably some more dire entries too, when we run into our next part 3. We're eating this away chunk by chunk. I'm hella enjoying it right now. If you are as well, make sure to smash that like button, smash the subscribe button so you can see when more Valiant Hearts content is coming, and when all of my future content posts. And then make sure to comment down below if you have any suggestions going forward for this series or a future series, anything you'd like to see me cover, hit me up. And I shall see ya all on the other side. Peace.